So the changes tracker process, I'm going to talk you through that and explain why I gave it to one of my students yesterday. He sent me a WhatsApp to say that he was quite demotivated. He had got some feedback from his examiners on his thesis, a whole bunch of comments, and he just had struggled in the last month or so to get some focus and discipline to apply his mind and start working on these comments. So the changes tracker process, something that I've used for every single major writing project that I've ever done in my academic career, whether it's publishing a full journal article or conference proceedings paper, or my thesis or a proposal, and this is how it works. And I teach it in my course on getting published, but it's equally useful for even if you're working on something that's not necessarily going to get published, like your thesis or your dissertation. So what you do is you take your comments, and typically what happens is, these guys the reviewers, whoever's reviewed it or examined it, etc., they just write an email or a report, so it typically comes in long form. So it's, paragraphs, maybe a few bullets, etc. But I find that very unstructured and difficult to work with. So the first step, before you try and update your actual document, the first step is to compile a table. And your first column is your reference number. Second column is who the feedback came from. The third column is then each individual comment that might result in some action you'll have to take on your report. So you literally go line by line through the report or the feedback, and you extract from that all the specific changes that they want to see. And what happens is, often in a paragraph they'll mention the same thing 2 or 3 times. So just extract it out once. So there's one change that you need to make. Let's say, for example, a big change that I had to make in my thesis is I had to rewrite a section of my discussion, and I was missing a section of my discussion. So I literally copy pasted the wording from the examiner's report into that second column, and gave that individual item a reference number in the first column. And then, because I had 3 different examiners, it was good just to reference which examiner was giving me which comment, etc. And then your fourth column is your action, right? And what this does is it gives you some structure, and it gives you a list that you've now extracted from your examiner's report or whoever's giving you feedback, which you can then work through. And here's the thing, this is the magic. There will be days, and remember, this is at the end of your degree, you're tired, you've been sitting with this document for months and months and months, probably years even, and you're just the last stretch now to go and fix up all these changes. And especially if it's quite extensive, it's going to be hard work to get through. But any journey requires you to put one foot in front of the other. So just take each individual action, and even if you just do 2 or 3 per day, and you tick that off, and once you've made the change in your document, you go back in and you update that column in that changes tracker. And here's the thing, if you're tired and you don't have the mental capacity or the energy to focus on some of the big topics, take some of the easy ones like spelling or grammar or referencing issues or other sort of more administrative aspects. And what that does is it gives you a sense of progress, because let's say you've got 50 comments that you need to make. Maybe only 10 of those are going to take up 80% of your time. But if you can get going on maybe the 10 easy ones, which will usually be at the bottom of the report, just get going on those ones and then tick those off, and it'll give you a sense of progress. And then each day when you wake up in the morning, you just say to yourself, I'm going to do 3 of the changes in my tracker document. And if you do have a couple of hours in the morning when you're fresh, so take that big section, and if you have to spend a couple of days on it, then get that done. But balance your time between some of the easier ones and some of the bigger ones. But at least that changes tracker gives you a sense of progress, and you go through and you tick off those changes as you go. Now, another great benefit of the changes tracker process is, and especially when you've got examiner feedback, is that your supervisors will probably also want to see those changes that you're making to your document. And instead of expecting your supervisors to wade through your full document and look for the changes based on the examiner's feedback, now they can almost see everything, all the changes you've made in your changes tracker document. And in my document, where I could fit it into that table, let's say it was just a sentence that had to be fixed, I would actually just copy paste that sentence into the actual action column, the far side of the table, and say, what I had done to address that comment. And then my supervisors found it very easy just to work through that changes tracker document. They could still go back to the original document, but they're also busy and they don't have to, I don't want them to wade through everything. For the bigger changes, like when I had to rewrite that section, obviously I'm going to just refer them back to that, or you just even copy it into the end at the bottom of the table in your Word document, where you've got the changes tracker table at the top, and you just say refer to the very bottom where you've just written in that new section. So I teach the changes tracker method, and I also demonstrate it. I show you my own changes tracker and how I've used it effectively for my own PhD in my course, How to Get Published, and I'll put a link to that in the description.